Logan the Layman Critic here. As you guys are probably aware, I'm a very big fan of City Hunter. So it came as a surprise when I learned earlier this month that a live action movie from Japan was coming to Netflix. It finally hit streaming a few days ago, and here I am with a review. So let's talk movies. There are going to be spoilers in this review, so please bear that in mind if you want to watch this movie fresh. Okay, so here's the story. Dio Saiba and his partner Makimura are hired to locate and retrieve a girl who's gone missing. When they finally catch up to her, she seems to have superhuman abilities and narrowly escapes them, but not before leaving behind some vials of a strange blue serum. Now, this vital clue is retrieved by Makimura, and it makes him a target of a mysterious criminal organization, which costs him his life. Before he dies, he gives the vials to Dio and instructs him to protect Kaori, his sister. Wanting justice for her dead brother, Kaori now must try to convince Saiba to allow her to help him crack the case. Okay, so this is pretty standard fare for City Hunter, and that's fine. It's a retelling of the origin story with a new case sort of forming the foundation of how they begin their partnership. One of the first things to note here is that this movie is set in the modern day and not the 80s and 90s. That's not all that surprising in a broad context. Most adaptations are going to be made in a contemporary locale. But when you consider the look and style of City Hunter, it might give one pause and wonder if this world could even work outside of the last 2 decades of the 20th century. But I'm happy to say that it mostly does. The spirit of the source material shines right through, and the intrigue, the comedy, the action, they're all on point here. The cast is excellent. Ryohei Suzuki is Dio Saiba come to life. Everything from his look to his mannerisms and his voice, they're perfect. And because this character can go from being extremely serious to incredibly silly within a split second, this role is, I imagine it would be a very challenging one to nail, but Suzuki does it. And even when I hear him with my eyes closed, I swear it's the same guy who voiced him in the anime. It's incredible. Misato Morita plays Kaori, and likewise she embodies that role. And in this particular story, she doesn't quite have the level of assertiveness and gumption as she does in the later stories, but she is able to capture that gentleness and stubborn determination that kind of makes her a great counterbalance to Saiba. In the supporting roles, you have Masanobu Ando as Makimura and Fumino Kimura as Saeko. Now, Ando is only in the movie briefly, but he's perfectly cast as Makimura. He's got that disheveled and hard-boiled look, but he also has a kind heart, and ultimately, he's someone who isn't tough enough to survive in the underworld. Fumino Kimura is sort of a mixed bag for me. In terms of performance, she has Saeko's independence and resourcefulness down. That's not the issue here. Saeko, she's meant to be Joe's greatest desire, and I was never quite convinced by that. In the anime and the manga, she's always a honeypot to get Dio to assist in a case. Her sex appeal is a big part of her character, and it's conspicuously missing here. And that particular element is also what gives contrast and conflict between Saeko and Kaori as a potential romantic partner for Dio. So I think that was something that they didn't really put any emphasis on this time. And speaking of romance, I do think that the romantic tension between Dio and Kaori is severely underserved in this movie. One of the things that I love about City Hunter that I find so compelling is that perpetual tug of war between these characters and the question of will they or won't they get together. And maybe this is a case where they want to save that for another movie, and if that's true, I'll give them a pass. But for now, I'm less satisfied on that particular aspect of the film. But what about the action? You're probably wondering. It's cool. I liked it a lot. When you look back at the anime, you can tell that it seemed to take heavy influence from what was popular at the time. So James Bond, Rambo, Dirty Harry. Here it seems more inspired by John Wick and Hong Kong action films. The film opens with a fist fight that has a good mixture of comedy and action, like a Jackie Chan film. Likewise, there's this suspenseful and comedic moment at a convention where Saiba is trying to protect someone from tranquilizer darts by blocking him with a horse prop that's attached to his pelvis. In the climax, it has this gun battle in a warehouse that has the intensity of John Wick with a little bit of the hyper realism of the Matrix thrown in there. And it all comes together very well for a pretty exciting ride. And then there's the comedy. City Hunter is a pretty over the top property, so translating that to live action is something of an undertaking. I think this one has the right balance. Jackie Chan did an adaptation of the manga in the 90s, and while I do enjoy that film very much, it never quite felt like the world we live in. This new film puts the humor in the right place. It's perhaps not the same level of political incorrectness that the anime once used, but Saiba is still a lecher, and Kaori is still there to try and properly domesticate him. We get a funny scene of him working a side job as a male stripper, and then there are scenes of Kaori trying to clean out his apartment of all this lewd media that he has collected over the years. One last thing, the music. Now, if I have any serious criticism of this movie, it's that it's lacking those iconic songs. There is a remix of the song Footsteps during one of the fight scenes, and Get Wild is played at the end, but music is such a big part of City Hunter. It's such a part of its character. That whole 80s vibe that captures the romance, the action, the mystery of Shinjuku, it really needs to be here, and unfortunately it's in short supply. I do hope that if they make another movie, they'll rectify this, because I really want to hear Go Go Heaven or Supergirl, preferably both, but and add some romance too, because I think all those things are a necessary part of the City Hunter recipe. But overall, I'm very, very happy with this new movie. It was a lot of fun, and in many ways, it was far better than I could have hoped for. So if you're a fan, I highly recommend checking it out. And thanks for watching.